Yeah, I'm Hartmut Tintrup. I'm based in the Cologne area in Germany, and I'm the head of commercial development for our European team. And we take care of advanced therapy customers with my team. And this is across all modalities in the cell and gene therapy sector, namely all kinds of viral therapies, cell therapies. And here we would like to, or we focus to match our Fujifilm capabilities with the individual customer's needs. And that goes across all clinical phases, from very early process development needs up to commercial manufacture. And we have a strong focus on building trustful relationships. We are a fan of personal interactions, like to meet our clients in person, invite them also to our facilities to develop these relationships, and then find the best match basically between the individual needs and our capabilities. Well, we are going to match our capabilities that we have at Fuji with the specific customer needs. And this is especially in viral vector, looking at platform technologies that could be of use for them, analyzing the existing process, and do then the best match possible. As a very well established and in a CMO with wealth of experience, we provide end-to-end services. That means we can support clients from very early stage process development up to this commercial scale, commercial supply later on. And our primary focus is to establish a very robust and fully GMP compliant process that is robust enough then also to enter the commercial phase later on. So that's our main focus. And we follow here a stage appropriate approach depending on the maturity of the customer process. So we can support them early on, switching them, for example, to a platform process if needed. In the viral vector sector, for example, we have established host cell lines and transfection protocols that customers could easily switch to. On the other hand, if they have a process that is, let's say, after a manufacturability assessment, that is from our perspective, and we do that together with the client to have a joint look together. If it's ready to be transferred into the GMP environment, of course, we are open to do that with the existing customer process. But being able to provide also platform processes, we have then the bandwidth basically to accommodate the specific status that the individual customer is in. We can provide, as mentioned, very early process development from small scale shaker flasks up to 2,000 liter batches that we have basically manufactured successfully and on a constant basis before. We work a lot with innovators and young biotech companies who have developed innovative processes that they need to transfer then out of a, let's say, academic setting where they did initial proof of concept studies in-house into a GMP environment. And typically for these companies, speed is of the utmost importance, both in terms of the nature of their therapies that they're developing. These are often rare diseases with an not existing therapy available, basically. So there's also just for the patient's sake, an interest to get that into the first-in-human trials as fast as possible. On the other hand, very often cash is also, of course, a problem, their funding situation. And that means, that they also need to be mindful of their financial stretch, so to speak. And that typically also means that they need to get into the clinic as fast as possible and get data basically available as soon as possible. Challenge is then to find the best compromise in terms of meeting their time constraints, developing a robust process, and then also addressing the full GMP compliance, depending on the maturity of their process. And in that context, I think the most important point for these clients is to find a partner that is able to address all these needs, and that also has the stamina to bring them later on into the commercial production, so that they don't need to switch basically their production partner across this process. But in essence, it's finding the best compromise across a partner who can balance these in a meaningful and sustainable way. Yeah, I mean, typically especially if these are younger companies. That is one of their most important decisions, both in terms of costs, the money that they have to spend with their first CDMO provider, and also the length of the collaboration. I mean, this is typically, if you also think long-term, a multi-year collaboration. So the very first and the most important question is to develop trust. Yeah, they should basically have a good look at their partner, visit them on site, look for the chemistry between the teams, yeah, and that you can trust this partner because it's a long-term relationship. So that's one first thing that both parties basically should make sure that they trust each other. And then you should also choose a partner in the long run that has the stability and also the capabilities to bring you up into commercial manufacturing later on. Very often, companies, of course, they usually in later clinical stages go to larger pharma partners. And then it's good if you're from early on chosen a partner who can bring you up to commercial, that you don't need to do a tech transfer, for example, out of an existing CMO to another one, which is both costly and could be risky. So in that sense, finding a trustworthy partner that can bring you up to and including commercial. Yeah, and then you should also look in that context for the track record. Is that a partner basically who has done that before, who can show you that they have developed these relationships and that they have taken customers basically into commercial manufacturing? And in that context, we at Fuji, we consider us to be such a long-term partner and a long-term strategic partner and not just a service provider. Primarily, we consider us to be a long-term strategic partner and not just a service provider that only would enter a partnership, let's say, for the first GMP manufacturing. We really think long-term. We would like to establish a process from early on that is robust, GMP compliant, and is robust enough also then to later on be easily scaled and scaled up into commercial production. This is our primary focus. And we do that phase appropriate. We look early on at the nature of the process of the client. We are happy to accommodate it. We do typically manufacturability assessments early on. That means it's a fit assessment. Does it fit into our facilities basically? And does it meet the needed requirements of being GMP compliance? And that differs from client to client. It could be an early academic process that needs a lot of process development that we are happy to address, to convert it to a GMP compatible process. It could be a drop-in process that is already mature enough that it doesn't need any tweaking at all. So we have a lot of flexibility to accommodate that. And that is something that we always do in a true partnership with a customer. And then also develop that long-term vision actually to bring them into commercial, that even if they, on their journey into later clinical phases, if they might be being acquired or enter additional partnerships, that they have one partner that they can rely on for years to come. And in that context, it's always, I think, also important that you choose a partner who has the financial stability, financial health, is investing to improve its facilities and expand its facilities as Fujifilm is doing. We have a lot of big pharma customers, don't need to focus here on press releases that we have that basically mirror that we enter long-term 10 years and longer partnerships with big pharma customers to enter a long-term commercial relationship. And that's what we would like to set up early on with our clients.